Welcome everybody to Service Drive Revolution and our international truck update, coronavirus crisis number 6. Can you believe it's number 6, boys?
Half a dozen.
They've flown by. We have a very special guest today, Joe and Air G, and of course Jeremy and Adam. Do you want to do the introduction, Adam?
Will do. So, guys, just want to welcome you guys to our little video since we're in quarantine. I know you guys are out there in the front lines and still keeping America moving, so thanks again for joining in with us. From Hill International, we have, as Chris just said, RG, Herman, and Joe Mazer. And want to take some opportunity to, I screwed it up, didn't I, Jeremy? Go ahead.
You did. It's just RG. It's
RG. I got this.
Man.
All right, so from Hiller, I'll just never get it, man. You guys have 3 locations for Hill International. We have East Liverpool, Wheeling, and then we also have in Washington, Pennsylvania. So we really just want to invite you guys to the video and just really kind of, you know, see what you guys are doing differently out there, and maybe shine some light to the rest of the folks, the rest of our dealer network, you know, and some, you know, share some best practices of owning the outcomes, some certain things with continuous improvement, and just constant communication, stuff, some of the stuff that you guys are doing. I really don't want to kind of exploit it out there, but I want to hear directly, or we want to hear directly from you guys. We know that you guys have been focusing on uptime for the last several years, right, and actually owning this. And we really just want to kind of hear what you guys all have to say from the front lines as far as, you know, what are some best practices? How do you implement some of those? And yeah, welcome.
Yeah, so the idea was to profile some leaders that are really achieving, you know, at the front, like really progressive and getting results uncommon from everybody else and way above average, and share what they're doing, their mindset, all that. And we kind of, when we were talking about you guys before you came on, we kind of came up, well, I kind of pulled five things out of Jeremy and Adam that they thought were different from your approach to everybody else, which we'll kind of go through and get your thoughts on also. Hey, so you got a haircut? Is that what's going on there, Adam?
Yeah, I got a haircut.
So, isn't it illegal to get a haircut?
No, not in front of your friend's house, outside.
I think Pritzker specifically said you can't do that in front of your friend's house.
So I've been trying to get a haircut. Like, I cut my beard a little bit, but I've been trying to, and it's, you know, not only is it illegal, it's just socially not acceptable to do something like that, to break quarantine.
What if I was wearing a mask? Would you believe me if I said I was wearing a mask?
No. I just think you're a rule breaker. That's what I think. You're going against the grain.
He's a renegade.
He is a renegade.
Part of the haircut underground.
I think we should call him the outlaw.
Here's our hacker, Zoom hacker, Christian.
I've been working for weeks on this one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
A little old lady.
A little old lady who?
Oh, we've got a yodeler in the house.
I still don't get it.
It's a very low bar. I don't either. Jeremy obviously does, because he's laughing. Joe's getting ready to leave. Look, he's like, forget this. I'm out of here. I didn't sign up for this. Okay, let's before we get to RG and Joe in our kind of list there. Are you guys reading any books?
Yes, yes. I am reading David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. There it is. Excellent book.
Genius positioning. The thing, like the Gladwell thing, is that he takes something that you have thought to be true your whole life and twists it. And he's like, you know, actually David wasn't the underdog. David had a gun.
Yeah.
Right? He was actually the one in charge. Like he flips things on, makes you think about things in a different way.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's one of the premises of Almost the Art of War is basically understand your landscape, attack your opponent's weaknesses rather than their strengths. Too many people make that mistake, whereas they focus on the strengths of their competitor. No, you attack their weaknesses, and that's the thing with David and Goliath. Goliath didn't have a shot in the world because he didn't realize that a slingshot at that time was equivalent to a handgun. So
yeah, he was hunting lions and stuff, right? Or protecting his herd from lions with it.
Like the age of velocity,
Goliath never had a chance.
Not at all. He was like nearsighted. He had a sword. He didn't have a shot in the world. But it took a smart person to realize that I can take advantage of what he perceives as his strengths and turn them into weaknesses. But there's a lot of other examples in the book, like basically a women's basketball team that learned to get to the championship by full court pressing when nobody else was full court pressing. A couple other examples in there, but it's really good because it helps you reframe your mindset a lot on what we know to be constants in our environment. Like, we're not always the underdog. You can become superior by focusing on the weaknesses of your opponents as opposed to their strengths all the time.
So it's almost a choice.
I think so.
Yeah, it's how you frame it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How about you, Adam?
Well, mine is totally different. So in lieu of me getting my new toy, I got an SG Gibson. Actually just came in the mail today. So in light of yesterday for Metal Mondays, I've started here in my quarantine room.
Can we see your fingers? Are they bleeding?
No, not yet. I just took it out of the box. I haven't even tuned it yet.
They'll be bleeding tomorrow.
Yes, hopefully. I probably should change the strings as well. But I started a book. Are you guys familiar with Iron Maiden?
Heavy Metal Thunder?
Yes. So I started the book with Bruce Dickinson. It's What Does This Button Do? And did you guys know that he was he actually flies planes?
Yep.
He's a pilot. I thought that was pretty cool.
He flew the band plane, right?
Yeah.
When they tour, he flies them around.
So I just started the book yesterday, so I'm not going to go into too much of it. It's an autobiography, but what I really like about it is he starts off the book that he's trying to land the plane in Moscow, and they won't let him land the plane. So he kind of just starts the book off that way, so it kind of just keeps you going. So I don't know, I've always liked Iron Maiden. Some influences, played a couple songs, and I've heard that he's written his own book a while back, so I finally just took a stab and shifting from the leadership type books and exploring into some music ones. And don't worry, Jeremy, I'm going to read the one with Neil Peart from Rush, because I heard that book's pretty good too.
My hero.
Jeez, how far we've fallen from the tree. Next thing you know, we'll be reading like books with Fabio on the cover.
Oh, come on!
Do you want to show everybody the guitar, because it's a beautiful guitar?
You should.
You got to show it.
You're gonna have to now.
The thing that's interesting about it to me is that that's more of a Black Sabbath AC/DC guitar, not an Iron Maiden.
No,
like that's AC/DC.
This is the 61. Okay, it's solid mahogany. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And I always wanted the Angus Young guitar obviously from AC/DC, but most of all of the great bands that I grew up with were playing something either just like this or exactly from the same time for their historical humbuckers. So I, believe it or not, I've been waiting like about 17 years to actually purchase this guitar. So I cannot wait. I know my coworkers won't be too excited, but I will be.
That's awesome. How about you, Joe or Edgy? Any good books you would recommend?
Got one?
You did.
Well, I recently read Emotional Intelligence, which was really, really interesting. How our brains work on the emotional aspect. That IQ is important, but emotional intelligence is actually probably more important. It's how we react to people and how our reactions to them is geared with our brain, and we can actually train ourselves to have better reactions to people, which will create more productivity and having better responses.
You know what's interesting about that is I was having a conversation earlier today about Bill Gates, and like I've had a lot of friends that are like really, really smart like that, but they don't have that emotional intelligence. Everything's very black and white to them, and they're not good at the personal part. Like right now, Bill Gates gets a lot of flack in the press or whatever, and the guy's intentions are good, but people just misunderstand him because he doesn't have that empathy, I guess, right?
Right. And it's really, really important because we get more out of people, being smart's really important, but being able to relate is more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can you take somebody like Jeremy and teach them emotional intelligence? Like, is it something you can develop?
You can develop it. You can work on it.
Maybe when you're done, you can send them the book.
Absolutely.
You got to want it though, Jeremy. You can't just, you got to want it. Okay. So I got a book in the mail today that I ordered like 3 months ago. Mark Lanegan's memoir, which is a lot like yours, Adam. So Mark Lanegan's a singer. He was in Screaming Trees and Queens of the Stone Age. It's funny, when I was flying to Chicago once, I sat next to Josh, the singer of Queens of the Stone Age, and the first thing I said to him after like we took off is I go, how's it feel to kick the world's greatest singer out of your band? Because he kicked Mark out of Queens of the Stone Age because he's a drunk and crazy. And he was like, oh man, we're still friends. I just worked on his last album, the whole thing. But I'm excited to read that. But the truth is I'm not reading a lot of books because I'm finishing this book, Pet the Dog, on customer service. And I finally, I've had this book almost done. You know, Malcolm Gladwell says something, Jeremy says, when you think a book is 90% done, it's 50% done. But I've written 2 more chapters that I think, because my worry about this book is that the younger kids won't relate to it because they don't have this sense of obligation to companies. And so if I think about somebody giving this to a cashier, giving this to somebody that interacts with customers that's younger, the things that motivate us to give customer service aren't the same motivators because they're not as loyal to the company and they're more introverted, where their idea of communication is more digital.
Yeah. And
so I've come up with a couple chapters that I think address that I've been working on really, really hard. But this has been my, I don't know, it'll be the death of me. You feel like that every book you write, it takes a piece of your soul away. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, what do you think of that cover?
I like it.
I like puppies.
Chip Kidd did that.
That's cool.
Okay, should we get into this?
So Jeremy,
yes.
Just want to let you know, emotional intelligence, you can't just throw a blue sheet over your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. That's a mountain. It's a mountain.
What was the sudden concern for aesthetics?
What do you mean sudden? It just looked really bad. That's all.
We're on episode 6.
No one said anything, Chris. He just
by
decided
episode 9 he's gonna actually fill in the roof.
I was gonna say the blue sheet really brings out the rafters.
That's never gonna happen. No, the roof is the way the roof is. I like.
Does your wife not let you upstairs? Tell us the truth.
It's, honestly, she does. It's just I want to be down here to insulate our audience from the children who would wreck
your children though later when they're in therapy, when they're in their mid-30s and they're in therapy, they're gonna be like, I never saw my dad. He was always in the basement.
That's a future Jeremy problem.
That's a future Jeremy.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Okay, let's get to our 5 characteristics that we thought that Joe and Ergi kind of represented. So the first one that we talked about was constant improvement. that they're constantly moving forward and constantly improving, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting to me because we were on a call like last week or the week before with you two, and it's just, I don't remember what subject we were talking about. It was something about the environment that we're in, and it's just, it shocked me how willing you both were to just go out there and just do it and make and adapt to the situation and flourish in this situation. And that's an amazing thing. But that's one of the reasons we really wanted to bring you on, is because your mindset is so great with the spirit of always wanting to be better, that we really wanted to pick your brain a little bit and kind of see some of the things that you do to continuously improve that you consider important, that maybe we could spread out to the network and maybe inspire some other service managers too.
You mean you want some examples of some of the things that we've done here?
Well, more like the mindset of, you know the average leadership out there. Why do you think that you've developed a different way of thinking and a different approach than what everybody else has when it comes to, hey, we can get better. There is a way, instead of making excuses and saying, well, my market's different or that won't work here. Where did you develop that? Like, how did you come up with that different approach?
It's just because we're like-minded and very aggressive. You know, we started out many years ago when Ergie and when I come over here and started working with Ergie, we literally wrote our own system that we're doing. Life of an RO is what we called it, and it was a living document about every step along the way, so that we did not drop any steps. Ultimately, we found out about Project 3.0, Confirmation 3.0, and the playbook team came in and literally, you know, we had been doing a lot of what they said already, and it's because we're aggressive. We want to be, and my mantra was always, we want to be that perfect little international shop. And it's been grasped by Ergie, by the team, by the technicians, and it's just something that drives us all the time. We want to be the best, hands down. And that's just the way we operate. Even down to every technician on the floor knows our goals, knows our dreams, knows my vision, and they work towards it. They're bought in as a team.
We're constantly changing and growing. We'll come in, like my second shift advisor, he'll come in and he'll say, so what's new today? And he means, what did you change today?
Yeah.
Like because we're constantly trying to be progressive, I guess, as far as change. Like, so during this downtime, we're working on making more lean processes, more efficient processes, everything down to whenever we take the phone call from the customer, we start our 360 right then. And for our service board, we have another section of our service board started day before yesterday, I guess, or Friday, where we go ahead and start for our customer. So we now have incoming in 360 on our service board. So then once they arrive, so then once they arrive, they go to the ready to come into the shop section of the board. So little things like that, it makes it much more seamless for the customer whenever they come in.
And when we hit an obstacle, we don't stop and say, gee, that don't work. We find a way around it. What do we need to tweak to make it work? And for the most part, we continue going forward because we find a way around it. We don't reinvent the wheel. We just make little tweaks along the way.
So do you think that other people use those obstacles as an excuse to give up? Or do you think that they're just scared of what's on the other side? Or why do you think that, you know, the average person will be easily discouraged from pushing through and just seeing it as a challenge instead of as an obstacle?
You know, I think both is true. Scared once they hit an obstacle, and maybe scared to see what's beyond the side, as well as scared that they don't know how to maneuver. So they throw it out and they go back and try to make up a whole new method of doing it.
Was there a time where you guys felt that way?
You know what? I don't necessarily. We get excited.
Yes.
I mean, one of us will come in and have an idea or have a thought, and we sound off of each other, all of us, and we include everybody in. You know, I'll walk in one day and say, hey, I got this bright idea. Joe will walk in, hey, I got this bright idea. And then it's like, okay, how are we going to do this? And it may completely fail, but it may work.
And our office is dead every day until that, hey, let's do this, or have we thought about doing that? And boy, we just come alive. Everybody starts working in the same direction, bouncing ideas off each other, trying something, why it won't work, why it will work, finding a way to do it. And that's the exciting part about the job. I mean, I've been in this for a lot of years, and that perks me up. It's like the old dog sleeping on the porch, and a rabbit goes by. He's awake. That's what I wait for every day.
So you're an old dog on the porch waiting for a rabbit.
Pretty much.
I love it. Okay, the second one we had, but we kind of touched on it, is that your mindset is more forward thinking, and you don't wait. Like you're not waiting for it to be perfect, for the sun to line up with the moon and your horoscope to be exactly what it should be. You're always thinking about moving forward, right? I have to imagine that the culture of your team is that way, kind of like you mentioned. They come in and they're like, hey, what's going to change next? But what is it that you say to new people coming in that conditions them to think that way?
I tell them right up front, be ready. Be ready, because things are going to change by the day, by the minute, by the hour, constantly. And we're going to try things, and they may or may not work, but be prepared. Because what we're doing today, it may be different tomorrow. So they are told right at the very first interview that this is a living, breathing department, and we are constantly changing to be better and better and better for the customer experience and for the partner experience. Our employees are our partners. We refer to them as partners, and it's all about the experience for all, you know, to be the best that we can possibly be for them.
And
what percentage? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, from day one, whether you're the first day out of tech school or a 30-year experienced technician coming aboard, we value your opinion. Help us identify the issues that you see that we may not have seen, and come to us not only with the problem but the solution. Be a part of it and a part of us. Whether you got 1 day's experience or 30 years, you're going to bring something to the table for us, and we invite it.
I like that.
What percentage of new partners coming in, new employees coming in, just don't get it and don't fit the culture?
You know, the number I would say is going to be very high in previous years, but lately we're more selective, more hands-on in the process. Yeah. I'm not the dictator anymore who interviews them. Ergi interviews them as my assistant manager. Shane Hoy, my shop foreman, interviews them. We get a general consensus, not just my opinion. We've been much, much more successful in doing it as a team effort rather than me just picking somebody who's really looking forward to the skill level you have as opposed to fitting into our culture. They're better at looking at the entire package. So what we've been able to do, I would say that probably right now, it's probably 25% or less.
Yeah.
Bringing on new people that don't fit. And we hire now on culture. We could teach you how to be a technician, but we can't really turn who you are inside and whether or not you want to join our team. And I mean join our team mentally, not just for a paycheck.
What sort of things do you do, and what sort of questions do you ask that give you an insight into whether they are a fit for the culture or not?
One of the questions that I always ask, because I'm, you know, obviously I talk to more of the writers and advisors. What do you do when you run into an obstacle? Because I want to know, what do you do when you run into an obstacle, and give me an example of what that obstacle was and what you did to overcome it. Because we are trailblazers. We are looking to overcome obstacles. We do not stop. We blaze through them. We fine tune them, and we fix them.
We let them know up front about what we expect, about the culture that we have, that everyone, like I said earlier, everyone from the newest technician to the oldest service manager here, we all have input into this, and we welcome that input. And let them know up front that this is what we want. And I kind of watch to see how they handle that power while I'm talking to them. And I'll ask them questions about previous jobs and previous managers and how they interacted with them and what kind of information he was allowed to give back to that manager in the past. And that tells us a lot about the type of person that we're bringing on board. And we always say, we hire culture number one. We could teach the rest, but we need that buy-in to what we're trying to do here, which is service the customer in the best way possible.
So when you're asking those questions, the answers that make them a victim and they don't own the responsibility, are those the kind of answers that tell you they're not a fit for the culture?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's really good. What did you learn, Joe? In because you kind of were saying that you had higher turnover before it became more of a process between the upper management. What did you learn about yourself and your hiring decisions? Was it just that you said that you're going to hire for culture and before you were hiring for skill?
Right, and that's what I really learned. Is I'm always looking for Babe Ruth, but sometimes that young rookie coming in may fit my team better, and right. that's when the switch got flipped. I got them involved in it. I learned a lot off of them about talking to people, interviewing people, what they do to get in depth about what that person's sitting across from us, who he really is or what they really are made of. My shop foreman has a wonderful way of finding out their technical abilities and is starting to talk about pickup trucks. Hey, what kind of pickup truck you got? From their conversation, I just sit back and listen, and I got an idea of what kind of technician I've got here. Ergie, and talking to them about their personal life and what she's taught me about asking them personal questions and about past jobs and everything. It's kind of allowed us the three of us to team up to get as near a perfect an interview as we've ever could hope for.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's awesome. Now the third one we have is that the kind of Adam and Jeremy's feeling was that you guys are very clear about outcomes and you own the result, good or bad. That you're not deflecting. It's not it's not the market's fault. It's not the economy. It's not international. But that you see everything as an opportunity, and if there's failure or success, either way, the outcome is is an outcome of your what you did.
Yeah, you could probably learn more from a failure than you can from your successes. So we've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge we gain from that. It doesn't mean we're not afraid to try. Business is down pretty much all across the country right now. But we're maintaining, we're holding together. We tell our technicians every day when they come to work, and we have morning minutes and afternoon minutes to talk to them before the shift starts. And it's, what? We don't know if there's a job for you after this today, if the workload's looking a little slim, but we instruct them, pretend there's 10 trucks waiting on you. Get the job in front of you done. Don't worry about what's going to happen after it, because we're so concerned about our dwell time. We want to provide a good dwell time. We want to provide good customer service. So we aim them towards act like you got 10 trucks waiting on you. Get that truck done. We'll worry about what to do with you after that. And if we're doing our job right and calling customers, inviting them in, there's generally more work for them. But you got to come in with the mindset of getting the customer done first, getting the customer taken care of, and we'll go from there afterwards.
And they love to work for that efficiency bonus.
Yes.
I got to tell you.
Yep.
They love
Incentivized.
Yeah, it is.
We really
What's the efficiency bonus? How does it work?
Technicians are paid an efficiency bonus. It starts at a dollar amount at 90%, and as that goes up, it's unlimited actually, and it goes up so many dollars for every percentage point. It's actually a two-tiered method where as a stopgap and slow times, you got to bill at least 90 hours that month. If you bill over 120 hours, there's two different tiers there. For 90% efficiency at 90 to 119 hours, it's one rate. If it's 90% and you build over 120 hours that month, it's a higher rate for each percentage point. So there's two columns going up depending on how many hours. and we've paid everything from 90% to 180%.
What if I do 200 hours and I'm 700%? What's the bonus?
I got a guy who will probably make me do that calculation here in another month or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's a good problem to have.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got it. They're bought into it. We love it. We operate as one, and we also, to help them achieve their bonus, our job here and our parts department's job here is we work for the technicians. Right. So everything from parts department to what we do is to promote, set the technician up for success. Success in the repair, successfully efficient, successfully dwell time. We work for them. I have no technicians that work for us.
Our general manager will, every time we have a meeting, he'll go around a room and ask everybody, what's your number one job? Yep. And our number one job at Hill International is to take care of our technicians. Everything after that will take care of itself. We will take care of our technicians, and then they'll take care of the customers. You know, I mean, it works. It works. It's from the very top all the way down. That's the mentality, and it has done a complete change of the way we do business. And it has been completely successful.
And I always say that. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, you may wish you didn't say that, but to back it up, we've actually closed our rear parts department window. We have the parts guys for the shop domiciled out in the middle of the shop with our shop foreman. So parts bought into the fact that we work for the technicians, and why we work for the technicians, because they are representative to the customer. We've closed the rear parts counter. We have 2 parts people out there. One mainly writes estimates all day, puts parts on the estimates and everything for my shop foreman. We have a parts runner running back and forth, bringing parts to the base for the guys, or putting them in trays and putting them on the shelf with the RO number that we let the technician know when a job is when all the parts are been assembled all here for a certain job. We can assign him the job, and he knows the parts are right there on the shelf for him. No lag time. They'll either bring them out to him or they'll be right there close to him. We've got spots on the floor where actually a parts runner will deliver their parts onto the green spot. And, the technician will put his cores on the yellow spot and the warranty parts on the orange spot. And that parts runner will come and pick them up. When we say we work for the technician who works for our customer, he's actually a hands-on guy, we mean it.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that I learned something early on in business, is that success is attracted to clarity. And it's interesting how many service departments you can go into and ask the employees, like, well, why are we here? What do we stand for? And you get, as many employees as they have, you get that many different answers. And there's something very powerful about having the simplicity of clarity. And, it's very powerful. That's amazing.
Chris, I think you're right. I think clarity and transparency, and we post every day our sales numbers, our efficiency numbers, our productivity numbers, our percents, and every technician, everybody from a parts delivery person to the service director, the general manager, he can walk in and he sees exactly where we are every morning, and where we've been and where we're going, and it's fantastic.
Jeremy and Adam will tell you, but in the service manager training that we've been doing, it's one of the things that we talk about. And you wouldn't believe how many managers can't understand how important it is that you're running a production facility. It's a factory. There's no factory in the world that doesn't put up their numbers, their results. A phone room at American Express puts up how many calls they answered, the average time, right? And how many were escalated to a manager. Like, to run a production facility and not post the numbers and the results is crazy, but we run into a lot of resistance with that, don't we?
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
Our technicians even, and a lot of people like to keep this information about away from the technicians. It's on a 4-foot high by 10-foot wide whiteboard right behind my office.
I love it.
And she's changing them every morning. And you would not believe the number of technicians who pop their head in to see what our scores were, our customer service scores, to see this information. Last year we was running running after a goal that I thought was impossible, and we've seen it was coming close. A 7-figure profit out of 16 technicians. We didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to tell them because I was afraid, would they accept this goal? Our branch manager said, just tell them. We told them. There wasn't a single question about with them. What's in it for me? They seen those numbers. They chased those numbers. We blew the goal out of the water. So don't be afraid to make your technicians a part of the team, not just the people who repair the trucks, but understanding that the business is a business and it has to be successful. They bought in. We love these guys.
Yeah, and I would point out to everybody watching this too is you're going to have to make a connection here in this conversation. Is you got to go back to the hiring. If you're not hiring somebody that is a fit for your culture, you're not. If you have the wrong people, you have to accept the fact that maybe you've hired wrong. And the reason why you don't want to share numbers and the reason why you feel like your team isn't on your side and the shop has got the whip 'em and all that is because you've hired wrong, right? And so you might have to have a little bit of turnover to get to that. But on the other side of that, it's so much better if you're willing to put in the work, because you're held hostage when you have a shop that isn't tracking production. You can't, like a lot of shops out there are running at 50 or 60% efficiency, and their cost of labor is like $55, $60 an hour. It's an impossible position to be in. So wouldn't you agree that you gotta make the connection between the two, because you're gonna have to hire better if you want that culture. You can't just go out and create that culture if you have the wrong people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the two go hand in hand. The fourth one we had on here is that you're early adopters. They feel like your mindset is you always want to get better, but you're willing to adopt early and try things even when maybe it isn't laid out perfectly and everybody else is a skeptic.
I buy it, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
And I think with us, it started from the very beginning when we wrote our own procedures, right? Life of an RO. And we immediately identified the steps that we had to take and the goal that we wanted to head for. And it just kind of came natural for us. We fed off of that. And when Project Confirmation 3.0 came out and when the playbook team come in, we was ready, and we were looking forward to how to streamline our own processes. It's something you got to look at every day. I don't understand why anybody would want to wake up, and you probably heard this before, it'd be the same as waking up in the morning and say, I think I'm going to do a bad job today. I don't, those people exist, but that's not people here. No. That's not what we're about. We wake up and say, what are we going to change? How are we going to change the world today? How are we going to change our world today? How are we going to make a customer's situation easier? How are we going to take care of our technicians better today? How are we going to make more money? Let's face it, that's business. Yeah. That all comes together. But, I know they exist, but we don't buy into, we're going to do a bad job today. I
think we start every day wondering how we can make today better than yesterday. Every single day, what can we do? Just even if it's the slightest tweak of what we did yesterday to make today even better. And that's what we do, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that a lot of people just kind of go through life like thinking like, I just want to get by today. And if you think about what do you want written on your gravestone, you don't want, hey, I got by or I made budget, right? So what you're saying like about that, Ergy, is like, that's a life well lived. If every day you got a little bit better, at the end, when you're looking back, you're not going to have a lot of regrets because you put something together, right? It got better. That's really strong. Then the last one that Jeremy and Adam came up with was communication. They're just so good with communication with their people, with us. They just, and I have a feeling, and tell me if I'm close here, is a lot of that has to do with the fact that you're just in love with the truth. It's easy to communicate if you're not hiding anything And it is what it is. Good or bad, I own it, right? Because it goes back to ownership. And you're a better communicator if you don't have an agenda and you're not trying to hide something, right?
Right. Absolutely. We're like I said, with a 4-foot by 10-foot board behind us, there is no secrets. And we get supported on that. We get supported by our branch manager, Jared Williams. He's the guy who finally told me, pull the Band-Aid off. Let him know that you are trying to hit a magical profit number. And, you know, the transparency, when we let him know that, like I said, it was amazing how everybody came together, how December 31st was a awesome day. And when the financials came out 2 weeks later, it was celebration time, and we celebrate a lot around here. So
nice. I tell you, when I did my my goals for 2020, and I had to put a whole big game plan together, a book almost. I let the technicians know and everybody in the department know this is what our goals are for this year. Everything from the amount of dollars that we want to upsell off of quick checks every month. And that's another thing that we post. Where are we on our quick check dollars of upsells? And everybody buys in because we tell them everything that we can tell them to empower them to have all the information they can so that we have their buy-in. And it's absolutely amazing.
And what you mentioned about on our free quick checks, the dollars that we raised from that, the amount of extra work that we were able to talk to a customer about needing, that's significant dollars. And if nobody's tracking, if you're not tracking it at your dealership, you're making a big mistake. You'll be surprised how those dollars come rapidly upwards through the course of a month. Just by doing something. The truck was in there, the repairs were there, we just wasn't looking at them and selling them before. Now we're looking at them, now we're selling them, now we're actually tracking the dollar amounts in parts and labor, and it's a significant number. It proves that free quick checks work, something that we've been doing, but something now we do religiously because we know how healthy it is for us. And it's making the customers happier too with less breakdowns. It's a planned maintenance as opposed to being set alongside the road calling the tow truck. So.
Yeah, it's funny how some of us out there frame that a different way, right? We look at it as a bad thing. It's fascinating. Anything that we left out that you think it would be inspirational, or is the difference between what you're doing and everybody else?
Oh my!
Do you think the Bears are going to lose again this year?
Come on, you can't ask him that.
Definitely twice the Green Bay. Beyond that, I don't know.
Are you guys Packer fans?
Yeah.
What now?
Are you Packer fans?
I am, yeah. From a little kid back in the Bart Starr days, so that'll age me pretty well. So.
And we gotta cut this call off. This is we can't allow Joe. Can you edit that out, please?
It. No, but on a serious note. Is there anything that you feel that would be inspirational that we left out? And maybe there isn't. I mean, the stuff that you talked about is just pure gold. I mean, pure gold.
I did tell Adam, I said, I would love to stand in front of every dealer principal and every service manager in the country and tell them to quit crying, quit blaming International for your own lack of vision and drink the Kool-Aid. I mean, the International way works. We prove it here every day. Project Playbook 3.0, and I actually wrote it down because you get a little forgetful, but stop the excuses, go to work, and build your own damn vision, okay? And I just thought today, there ain't no stimulus check coming to take care of your bad management. Drink the Kool-Aid. What's it going to hurt? Try something new. Follow the path. Hit the obstacle, go around it. Find another way. But don't just wait for somebody to bail you out. It works. We did it here every day.
I love that. That's amazing. I love it. That was great.
Didn't coerce that.
Without an F-bomb.
You owe me 2 F-bombs. Yeah.
No, we're really tight here on any shenanigans. It's really hard, but we really have managed to watch our P's and Q's. That's awesome. Also, too, I would love, Ergy, to know your feedback personally when you attend one of the service manager courses. I would love to know what you guys think.
Okay.
I would love that feedback personally, because it'll, you know, one, I just want to know what resonates, and two, any suggestions that we can add to it, because we're always trying to make it better. So,
yep.
On that note too, we yesterday planned out our virtual training, because we're not going to be doing it live. I don't know, some of you might have heard we're in a little bit of a coronavirus situation. A little bit. But we're going to do them virtually. So the service manager one is pretty much booked up, right? Are there any spots left, Jeremy?
We could slide a couple people in, but we're pretty close to booked on the service manager training. The thing about it is, because June being the way it is and so close to what we're doing right now and what we're dealing with, we moved all those sessions to virtual. So we're still
and we've doubled them for the managers, right? Because it's a smaller course. So we were doing 25 live. We've doubled it, so you have that one-on-one personal attention. So we've doubled them. So
for sure, it's we want to keep it to 15 to 17 per class at the max. That way that we can still have that level of interaction that we're looking for in hands-on, but we can do it virtual. Now, hopefully in July, everything's going to be hunky-dory and we can start doing these in-person sessions again. We love doing those, but for now, all the June sessions are going to get moved virtual, but we're still going to give you really quality training.
And then we do have room for the advisor one, right? The advisor one, we have plenty of room.
Yes.
And so this is advanced advisor. It's different than last year or what's online. But if you have an advisor that you want to go through it, make sure you reach out, because we have room, and we will help your advisor see things a little bit differently.
Now is the time. Now is the time to get your people, get them trained up, get them some knowledge, and the experts are going to be in the room to give you any kind of background or any kind of specific things or questions you're looking for. We'll give you answers.
It's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Joe and Ergy. Great job. I mean, you even inspired me.
It was amazing.
I really appreciate it. Amazing. And thanks for sharing. I know that's not an easy thing to do sometimes, but it will be inspirational to a lot of people. I know that. It's kind of what they need right now, I think. So very sweet of you to do that. Anything in closing, Adam? Breaking the law, Adam?
Thank you. I will not break the law, nor have I ever.
I love that sweatshirt. International sweatshirt. I didn't get one of those. So I got nothing.
Oh, wow. All right. I just want to say thanks, Joe and Ergy, for being here and just sharing with everyone in the network. You know, just from your perspective, it's fresh. I don't think anybody will believe us that it's not coerced, but I promise this is the real deal, and we need to have more service locations like you that are willing to share the story and just sharing the vision and continuous improvement, especially in our environment. So thanks again, and continue to look forward to working with you all.
Yeah, and if you can stop being cynical for a minute, we're all stronger together.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, we're way stronger together than we are apart. And when you're cynical, you're just kind of putting yourself on an island.
Yep.
You know, be a little vulnerable and come into the fold, because we can navigate things together way better than we can alone. It's good.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Ergy. Thank you very much, Joe, Adam, and Chris. Excellent.
Yeah, great job, you guys. That was awesome.